it off? One more time, turn it back on. All right, off. All right. All right, guys, so you pretty much see what I'm doing, or what the fridge is doing. It's dumping water, so it doesn't matter when. It could just be any time, and you turn the water on, and it just keeps pouring and pouring. So the fix for this, I was removing the lines in the back. I was going to replace the entire assembly. Normally, that's how you fix this issue. The valve itself, which is what I fixed, this was a friend. So for some reason I thought the assembly that I had was the right one, but it wasn't. So I was already there, so I figured, you know what, let's make this thing work. And what I ended up doing, I was able to change just the solenoid on the valve assembly itself. Normally, you would just remove the entire assembly with all the lines and you would insert a new one and call it a day. Personally, I think it's a waste of material and energy. Samsung really should just have a water valve where you can just remove the water assembly. It appears that you can, but when you actually look at how some of those connections are, it's almost impossible. So maybe there is. If someone have a part number to it, please share it. I did not see anything, but usually whenever I change those, I've done quite a few, and we always change the entire assembly. My friend did not want to spend too much money, so I said I might have a spare hanging around, and the valve was not the same. So yes, I could have run the model number, but I work on so many Samsungs. A lot of the parts are the same. You can interchange this, interchange that. In fact, this valve I ended up using from another fridge, and it works just fine. It's the same part. It does the same function, same everything. Nothing other than it had an extra part, which was for another component, which we removed. We literally cut that part off and removed the wires that would normally be energized on the other unit. So I'm not saying you need to do this repair, but letting you know that if you wanted to, you definitely can. For example, if the entire assembly is more, meaning you don't feel like yanking out all the lines and reconnecting, there's an option. You can just remove the solenoid part. In fact, if you just get that solenoid, you can actually just pop that in, and that's going to fix your problem as well. So I just wanted to share this video just so that it just gives an option that you don't have to do the repair accordingly if you don't want to. And it still is a safe repair. All we're doing is we're allowing the assembly to open and close before it was stuck. Now, if you do not want to do all of this, I will tell you what you can do, and this will also help as well. You can disconnect your water at the back. If you're able to get most of the water out of your water storage container, which is inside the refrigerator. Now, what we're trying to do is get a lot of rust out of the valve assembly. So if you're able to do that, that will also help to mitigate, because what's happening is the solenoids, they get too much rust. This customer actually had well water, so it makes it that much harder. See that line we're going to cut right there? Well water is a lot harder on any valve assembly, just because of the different chemicals. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cut that part. We're going to remove those 2 wires. Don't need those. And everything is the same. So the unit will work just fine. And just make sure that you secure your piece that you transfer, and everything should be fine. So to remove those, you do need to use either like a hook pick, as you can see what I was doing. I sped up so it's a little bit easier to see actually. And you just spread them, and then you basically separate them with a flat blade screwdriver, and that's it. You don't have to disconnect any of the water lines. Everything stays intact. And this repair versus pulling out the entire assembly and having to remove it from the freezer and then reconnect, this is so much easier. Like, if you had the valve assembly perfectly ready to go, all you do is remove that piece, unplug it, and maybe about a 5-minute job, literally. So I was trying to show and get everything, angled so you guys could see what I'm doing. But pretty much 5-10 minute job and it's done, versus changing the entire assembly. But if you have a situation, yes, you would have to change the entire assembly. That's the normal fix. So if you're having that issue, then yes, you would do that. Keep in mind as well, for example, if you did happen to buy the entire assembly and you don't want to go through removing all the lines in the back and all that stuff, you do have the option. You don't even have to pull the unit out from the wall. You pretty much just open up the front piece and open that assembly, and you can just remove the section you need, unplug it from the refrigerator, and you just basically loosen those clips, slide your new piece on, and be done with it. To be honest, most of the time, the valve assembly is the portion that is not working. Also, I mentioned earlier, you might actually even be able to get some rust remover and maybe get it into the valve itself and start there instead and see if that fixes the issue. You can actually turn the water back on and press the water selector, or you can even use a magnet to energize. Put a cup in front of the door, and that will tell you if it's turning off. But the water has to be on in the back, so just put a cup under it, because if it's not fixed, you can have a mess. Or you can actually attach a hose or a tiny tube where the water comes out from where the glass would be, or the cup, and then you just set it in the sink or something. There's always a way to do it, but that's a much easier way to get it done. If not, then you have to replace the entire assembly, which is not too bad, but it is more of a pain. Well, we're going to be wrapping up shortly, so hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Thanks for watching. Well, working at home, dude. If I had to do it versus go to work, I'd go to work. The shit they do at home, I don't want to do it. Right. not bad, you know. I mean, I do have stuff in my warehouse that, you know, still ain't sold, but what are you gonna do, you know?
It seems you remember when the straight MSRP is for? I don't remember. I don't remember.
It's a good amount.
I know it was a hell of a lot more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Way
I
more.
don't even look at my fridge. I had that old Kenmore Elite fridge. Actually, I still have it from 2007. It's out in my barn.
Right.
And the door doesn't shut right on it. So like the pull-out French, the bottom freezer handle, you kind of slide it. It rocks side to side a little. Like sometimes this side will shut all the way, but now this side won't.
Okay.
So if I pull it out and kind of flex it a little bit, you'll hear like a gear like clack clack.
Okay.
And it'll go back together. Right. But whatever. We never go in there. But I was looking to buy one, and then all of a sudden I said, "Oh man!" I was on the phone with her. Oh my god, $400.
All right, go ahead and turn water on.
She's on.
All right. All right.
That's a good sign. You used to spray everywhere the second you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got it.
There's gonna be some air in the line.
She's a beast.
All right.